Okay, welcome back. This is kind of an introduction to Blackboard, or another way of looking at it, how to be an online student. So the first thing we're going to do is to fire up a browser of your choice. Now, I will admit that you really probably should look at the list of acceptable browsers, and so it's not really a browser of your choice. It's probably the browser of Blackboard's choice. So I'm just going to go to the university website like normal, so it's www.tamuc.edu, and over here in quick links there's a little link to the Blackboard. Now obviously if you've already been to Blackboard you could save that as a favorite, but I'm just going to do it this way this first time. Okay, so Blackboard's going to fire up and then you're going to log into Blackboard. So let me log in here. And if you have any troubles with login credentials and those kinds of things, that's not something that I can help you with, but there's some help here on this page. Okay, the next thing you're going to get is a list of courses that are going to be available to you. So I'm going to select this one because that's the one we're doing. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you log into Blackboard for the first time. I'm going to go ahead and maximize this so I can see everything. Cool. So it fires up with just some general information, such as, welcome to the course. Kind of a to-do list, the things you ought to do, such as, get the textbooks and install Microsoft Office if you don't already have it installed. Read the syllabus, watch the slide presentation, and actually, this video that you're watching now is actually part of that whole thing. And then introduce yourself in the discussion forums. Those are the kind of things I want you to do. And ideally, you'd accomplish all of these tasks long before the first day of class. Okay, let's just navigate through this kind of stuff. Here's the traditional course information link, a little bit about me, a little bit about the textbooks. Here's the link to the PDF version of the syllabus. Yes, I do want you to read the syllabus. And in fact, there's going to be an exam on whether or not you've read this or not. Cool. Here's some, just normal information. A lot of the things we covered in the introductory. There's a couple of things in here that I think is kind of interesting. Talking about how all the grades all line up. I remember I showed you a little pie chart on how they all work. But essentially, this is how it works. You have 2 exams at 16 points apiece, 5 exams at 6 points apiece, participation, boom, 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 boom. Here's how your scores are done. If you had an 89.9999999, I do not round up. So 89.99999 is still a B. If it starts with an 8, you get a B. If it starts with a 9, well, I guess it starts with a 1 as well, you get an A. Cool? Okay. There's a couple things in here talking about what you have to do to be an online student. And quite frankly, it is a little... If you're not a self-disciplined kind of person, this might be a problem. If you're the type of person who really, really needs to be, structure. So, I like this. Online learning requires students to be very self-disciplined. Be sure you understand that and be prepared to comply with all required assignments and deadlines. For this course, weekly assignments will be posted every Monday morning and will be due the associated whatever, forum, journal, assignment, Dropbox, quiz, Sunday at midnight. Okay. So, that's just some cool information. This is the PowerPoint presentation that we went through during the introduction, so I'm not going to go through that again. And just some more cool boilerplate of the things you're supposed to be able to get out of this. So this is in this section, just to start here, announcements. I don't have any instructor announcements out there yet. If I did, that's where they would be. Course content is where the guts of the thing is. Essentially, you're going to go here to weeks. You're going to find the appropriate week. And inside the week, it's going to give you a task list of things to do. So we're going to go here to this task, and it's going to say, here's your task for week number 1 or week number 2. It's going to tell you precisely what it is you need. You're going to need to do this homework assignment. You're going to need to do this journal entry. You're going to need this, and this. Next is lecture notes. Lecture notes is where I put my outlines. Before I give a lecture, I basically go through and make a list of things that I want to talk about to make sure I don't, miss anything. And some people kind of sort of find that useful, so I have been posting those things out. So after I do a lecture, there'll be just a little text document out here explaining, essentially those are my lecture notes. Now, they're not your lecture notes. I fully expect you to be taking notes during the lecture. Yeah. Now, admittedly, you could stop and fast forward and play the videos over. The videos are going to be up there for forever, as far as I'm concerned. So, in theory, you could just go back and forth, but like that old Chinese saying that a short pencil is better than a long memory. So, yes, take notes. It's very helpful. Supplemental material, I'll throw things in here from time to time, web links, some other documents, things of that nature. So this is essentially where you go. Every week you will go here, find out what week you're in, and then do whatever it says to do in that week folder. Okay. The calendar, this is the calendar of events going on. What shows up here is all of the due dates, for example. So, here's all the things that are due. Okay, cool. Messages. Now, in Blackboard, email is called messaging. Now, I will tell you that that's not what I call it. So if I tell you, send me a Blackboard email, this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this, which is messaging. So that's going to come up because occasionally people will send me emails and they get confused and they send me email in the wrong location. Okay, journal. Now this is the journal where you are going to go in and you are going to, once a week, you're going to answer 4 questions. And the questions are going to be incredibly simple. Typically you can answer them in a sentence or 2. Maybe no more than this much. Not a huge document. It's not going to be a page of stuff. It's just going to be 2 or 3 sentences to make sure that you're paying attention. This is my way of making sure that you're watching the videos and you're paying attention. Sometimes there'll be a question that I want you to answer in your journal that's got nothing to do with the topic. It'll be something happening behind me in the room, and I'll ask you what happened. Yeah, so I want you to be paying attention. Okay, cool. Discussion forums. So one of the things I want you to do when you first get in is introduce yourself. So just go to this little section and tell them, hey, hi, I'm Bob, and I'm in my 3rd year, blah, 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 blah. Now, I will caution you, don't put your name, address, phone number, and social security number out there. This is public, essentially, to everyone in the university. So introduce yourself, but use a modicum of caution. Course feedback. This is where you can put anonymous information in here. You can say this sucks, or I love it, or whatever. This is your place to talk about course-related things. I can imagine the only time I would ever go through here is if things got out of hand. I might start deleting things, but that hasn't happened yet. Grading notes. Now, this is a forum that I use to provide you information on things like the quizzes and the exams and the homework assignments. So you go to that after I've graded and given you your grade. So you made a 92 and you're going, woohoo! I still want you to go here to the grading notes and look at the review notes of what the most common errors were, the most common problems, and you may find an Easter egg telling you that the first 5 people who read these notes gets extra 5 points or something like that. Okay. Here is where all the assignments and exams and things are. So a list of assignments, here's all their due dates. If you had an assignment due, it would magically appear here below. They aren't any due at this time. Typically, assignments show up about 2 weeks before they're due. That gives you just a tiny bit more time to go through stuff. Although a lot of people look at that and go, well, that's no advantage because I haven't covered the material yet. Well, that's true, but hey. Exams, same thing. Here's all the exam due dates. Now, I will tell you the first week of school, yep, there's a test. Yes, we have a test on the first week of school. It's the syllabus test. Now, I will tell you, the syllabus test is not really an exam. It's a practice exam. Now, you still have to do it, but it doesn't count against your grades. This syllabus exam is basically to see, have you read the syllabus? Have you watched these videos? Have you gone through the notes? Have you been paying attention? And so it's just kind of my way of saying, hello, are you out there? And to see how good you are at paying attention to details. Okay, so yes, syllabus exam, and then quizzes, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so that's essentially all there is to Blackboard. Again, the course information, pretty straightforward. Announcements will kind of pop up. This is where you go for basically all of your work. When it comes time to turn in an assignment, you'll click on the assignment. There'll be an assignment drop box where you just put your file in there. And I don't think you'll have too much trouble with that. We may actually demo one of those in an upcoming video. Okay, so that's essentially all you need to know about how to log on to Blackboard and how to be an online student. Okay, so see you guys again in a future video.